Join our Storm Tracker 2 team for the Severe Weather Show as they prepare you for the winter season ahead. Brought to you by Mountain Ice Paint Gel.
Good evening. I'm WKTV Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis, joined by meteorologists Hannah Evans and Eric Gage. This is our winter weather show where we're getting you ready for the winter season.
We're talking about a variety of topics. I'll be touching upon winter weather driving, including updates to watches and warnings for our area.
And I'll be talking on wind chill and hypothermia and the dangers behind wind chill along with lake effect snow.
And I'll be talking about ice jams, and we're going to be wrapping the show up with our winter weather outlook, where the three of us come up together with a forecast where how much snowfall we can expect for the upcoming winter season. First, meteorologist Eric Gage is going to get us started by taking a look at winter weather watches and warnings and some of the latest information to expect this upcoming season.
Good evening. With winter weather arriving soon, it's good to refresh on all the watches and warnings we could expect this season. To start out, there are 3 levels of priority for information sent out by the National Weather Service to inform you of winter weather. At the lowest priority is an advisory, which is for less serious conditions that could cause significant inconvenience to life or property. Next up is a watch, which is generally issued when the risk of hazardous winter weather event has increased between 15 and 80% certainty that warning thresholds will be met. And our highest priority is a warning. Warnings are issued when hazardous winter weather event is occurring, is imminent, or has a very high probability of occurrence, usually generally greater than 80%. A warning is usually issued for the conditions posing a threat to life or property. So what types of advisories, watches, and warnings are there in winter? There are 2 types of advisories. First is a general winter weather advisory, where a winter storm event, including sleet, snow, or freezing rain, is likely. Criteria for snow is around 4 inches or more, and ice accumulation is around ½ an inch. Winter weather advisories can also be issued for black ice. Our second advisory is wind chill advisories. This is when wind chill temperatures are expected to meet or exceed 15 degrees below zero. Heading to watches now, the first of the 2 types of watches is a winter storm watch. This is when conditions are favorable for a winter storm event to meet or exceed 7 inches. Criteria for ice accumulation is ½ inch or more, and this also includes lake effect snow. The second watch is a wind chill watch. This is when conditions are favorable for wind chill temperatures to meet or exceed 25 degrees below freezing. There are 6 types of warnings, since warnings are more specific depending on the weather event. First type of warning is a blizzard warning. This is when sustained winds or frequent wind gusts greater than or equal to 35 miles per hour will accompany falling or blowing snow frequently, reducing visibility to less than ¼ mile for 3 or more hours. Next up is an ice storm warning. These are issued when ice storm events are expected to meet or exceed ½ inches or more in accumulation. Third is a winter storm warning, which is the most commonly used warning in our area. This happens when a winter storm event, usually heavy sleet, heavy snow, or an ice storm, is expected to meet or exceed 7 inches or more of snowfall accumulation or ½ inch or more of ice accumulation. Heading to the final 2 now, lake effect snow warnings are separate from winter storm warnings, with snowfall mainly due to our location close to the Great Lakes of Ontario and Erie, and affects much less area than a winter storm warning. These are issued when widespread or localized lake-induced snow squalls or heavy snow showers will produce snowfall accumulation to 7 inches or more in 12 hours or less. And along with that, wind chill warnings is when wind chill temperatures are able to meet or exceed 25 degrees below zero. And also including this, updates to our snow squall warnings. Along with these snow squalls is a chance for whiteout conditions with blowing snow, reducing visibility greatly, especially on those roadways. And these do not usually last long, but their updates, they will not be sending alerts to your phone on every warning, only ones that are for immediate danger.
Wind chill is a term we use to describe what the outside air actually feels like on the skin when we see cold weather and windy conditions. So the colder the air is and the higher the wind speed is, the colder it will feel on your skin while you are outside. So when you're outside, wind actually blows away our natural body heat that we emit to warm us up. So when the wind speeds are faster, it takes away our body heat quicker, and thus we do feel a lot cooler than the actual temperature outside, because windy conditions, cold air, makes it feel a lot cooler because it is kind of blowing away our body heat we emit to warm us up. So there is a wind chill chart that's created by the National Weather Service and NOAA that takes into account the temperature and the wind speed, calculating the feels like temperature or the wind chill temperature. So there are different colors. The darker the colors indicate that frostbite will occur quicker with certain temperatures and wind speed combination, and the lighter colors, the slower it takes for frostbite to occur. So here is an example that if the temperature was 15 degrees Fahrenheit and the wind chill or the wind speed was 20 miles per hour, then it actually would feel like -2 degrees outside or 2 degrees below zero, and frostbite can occur within 30 minutes of standing outside. So once frostbite does turn severe, it can produce hypothermia, and hypothermia develops when body temperatures fall below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Symptoms usually contain confusion or memory loss, shivering or disorientation or slurred speech, exhaustion or stiffness, and if you fall into any water or damp at any point with extremely low temperatures, the chance of getting hypothermia are even worse. So for the winter, definitely take into account wind chill warnings along with extreme cold temperature warnings. You don't want to be outside too long in cold and windy environments because frostbite can occur with low wind chill temperatures and feels like temperatures, which can lead to hypothermia and is very dangerous. So if you do have any warnings outside, wind chill warnings or frostbite warnings or anything like that, make sure you do dress accordingly. Make sure not a lot of skin is showing, and you don't want to be standing outside for too long a period when this occurs. So here is our next trivia question on ice jams. What time of the year do ice jams usually occur? Is it A, spring, B, late fall, C, early winter, or D, late winter? And Bill will have the answer when we return.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the answer to our trivia question about ice jams. What time of the year are ice jams most common? And the answer is spring. And to understand why, let's take a look at what is an ice jam. It's a period of very warm weather that follows a long stretch of cold weather. So we've got the ice on the stream that is very thick, and we have a period of above freezing temperatures. So thaws more common in spring. They can sometimes occur in winter. When we have a period of time where temperatures are above freezing, the ice tends to break apart. As ice pushes downstream, it can sometimes get lodged in certain places of the stream, meanders, bends in the stream, or bridges. There's another common place where ice jams tend to start. And when ice jams begin to occur, it can rapidly cause flooding in very localized areas. So the ice will congregate in a certain spot, jam up, and behind it the water backs up. And this could result in significant flooding, especially if the ice jam is large. It could take a long time for that to break apart. And flooding can happen very, very quickly in these scenarios. This is why ice jams are very dangerous, because you can have one occur in a very short period of time, very unpredictable, and that can result in some pretty serious flooding. Flood safety tips. Like any flood event, you're going to want to move to higher ground. Always listen to authorities that are on the scene. Never drive through a flooded roadway. And just remember, even a small amount of water could still carry a vehicle, and certainly never drive around barricades. We have certain areas that get ice jams more than others. The East Canada Creek is a very common one, and there was a pretty bad one last year. This is an aerial footage of that ice jam that occurred in February along the East Canada River. So that's something we continue to keep an eye on throughout the winter season.
Lake effect snow occurs when snow falls on the lee side of the lake, which happens to be right where we live. So we do get a lot of it. Lake effect snow forms when cold, dry air passes over water that is warmer in temperature than the air. The lower layer of the air is then heated up by the air coming off the lake, and that picks up water vapor and rises up to form clouds. This then produces snow as it continues to move over the lake and onto the land. The longer the cold air moves over the water, the greater the precipitation will be when it occurs. Narrow bands of lake effect snow can occur, so that's when wind direction really comes into play. Wind direction is an important factor when forecasting lake effect snow. It is key to figure out which areas will be receiving the heavy snow. Some areas could be receiving heavy snow at a time, while other areas just 20 minutes away could actually see the sun shining. So once again, temperature plays an important role in lake effect formation. For the warmer months and in the summer, the air temperature is much warmer than the lakes. But in the cooler months, like in the winter, the air is much cooler than the lakes. When the air temperature is cooler than the lake temperature, that fuels lake effect precipitation, and that is why it usually only occurs in cooler months like in the fall through March. The greater the difference in air and lake temperature, the stronger storms form. Some of its heaviest lake effect snowfall events occur when our air is at the coldest, like in the middle of the winter. If the lakes were to freeze over at all, there would be no warmer air from the lakes to fuel the storms, so there would be no lake effect snow. We receive our lake effect snow mainly from Lake Ontario, and that never gets cold enough to freeze over because it is really deep. It's 801 feet deep. The one good thing about lake effect snow is that it usually is way less dense than typical snowfall we see from a low pressure system or a nor'easter. This makes lake effect snow easier to shovel, even in heavy precipitation events. We measure how dense snow is using snow to liquid ratio. The higher the ratio, the less dense the snowfall is, and the lower the ratio, the more dense the snowfall is. The snow to liquid ratio is calculated by using the air temperature and total precipitation. Typical storm snow has snow to liquid ratios of 10 to 1, while lake effect snow has snow to liquid ratios of 20 or 30 to 1. The snow is fluffier because air temperatures are cooler and the snowflakes have more air in them. So lake effect snow is easier to shovel than if we were to get snow from a nor'easter or a storm system. On to our next trivia question. Out of all inclement weather, which type of weather reduces traffic speed the most? Is it A, black ice, B, wintry mix, C, freezing rain, or D, heavy snow? Eric Gage will have the answer when we return.
Why wait? Back our winter driving trivia. The question, out of all inclement weather, which type of weather reduces traffic speed the most? Black ice, wintry mix, freezing rain, or heavy snow? The answer, heavy snow. Snowfall reducing driving speeds, especially on untreated roads. And taking a look at our winter driving stats, this is the time of year where weather starts to get cooler and we start to see more of that winter weather impact daily travel, especially on a daily basis. When it comes to warming up the car, scraping off snow or ice, or even driving through a blizzard, it's always best to be prepared when driving through the winter. Starting off, taking a look at some stats related to winter driving from the Federal Highway Administration. First off, more than 150,000 crashes occur each year due to icy or snowy roads. Along with that, over 135,000 of these crashes resulted in an injury, and in all of those, around 1,000 of those crashes resulted in a fatality. So driving in winter can be dangerous, with one of those highest risks being black ice. Black ice is dangerous due to it largely being invisible to the naked eye, especially when driving. This type of ice collects on roads that are not yet winterized and is more likely to form on bridges. The good news is black ice only forms in certain weather situations. You can see right here a thin layer of ice, especially when rainfall has occurred or it has fallen below freezing just directly after. Keep in mind those temperatures are warming above freezing during the day prior and then falling below freezing overnight. As I said before, rain and snow has fallen. Thin layers of standing water are what forms black ice. So temperatures, if remain entirely above or below freezing for a stretch of weather, black ice is not a concern. So if you're caught on the roadways during a black ice event, make sure you keep your steering wheel straight, do not brake, and take your foot off the gas pedal to slow down. Now, another hazard when you're driving are blizzards and snow squalls. These are extremely dangerous because it severely limits visibility when driving and also causes a quick accumulation of snow on roads, making it progressively harder to drive. On days that blizzards and snow squalls are possible, make sure you're weather aware commuting anywhere, especially for snow squalls, since they can seemingly appear out of nowhere and visibility quickly drops. Your best bet for being caught in a snow squall is simply just to pull over, stay home if necessary for the most part. These only last between 30 and 60 minutes. Blizzards, on the other hand, are a different story. It's better to not travel in general when blizzard warnings are in effect. So you can see right here, only drive if absolutely necessary for a blizzard. If you do have to drive slowly. Make sure you don't speed up or slow down too fast. And once again, for snow squalls, make sure you pull over and wait. So I just highlighted a couple of risks with winter driving, but how do you prepare and winterize your vehicle? Remember, sometimes extra preparation sounds a little bit over the top, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Before driving anywhere in the winter, it never hurts to double check the latest forecast before heading out to see if there are any other winter weather advisories, watches, or warnings. If you don't already, check your car for items in your car, especially for snow tires and a spare tire as well. Also bring your ice scraper as well as a snow brush, jumper cables, rock salt, even some kitty litter too can also help if you get stuck in ice or some heavier snow. Tow chains and a rope, and as well as blankets in case you get stuck out there in a snowstorm. Also make sure your phone is fully charged and you have enough fuel for the trip, plus extra in case you get stuck or need heat. Snow tires are also recommended, especially in our area with the lake effect snow that we get. Lastly, if you get stuck in a winter weather emergency, what do you do? If inclement weather is occurring, make sure you don't leave your vehicle. Let your car be seen. Put on your flashers or headlights if you need to. And if needed, also call emergency services. They might not be able to get to you, but just let them know that you're out on the road. And lastly, if you do keep your car running, be mindful of carbon monoxide poisoning, especially if you are buried in snow. Hopefully these tips will help you best remain safe for winter travels. Stay safe, and we'll be right back following this trivia question. Winter weather outlook with Bill is next, so it's time for winter outlook trivia. How much snow did Utica receive for last winter's season? 61.1 inches, 65.7 inches, 69.2 inches, or 73.9 inches? The answer when we come back.
Welcome back. Before we dive into the winter outlook, we've got one more trivia question to answer. How much snow did Utica receive for last winter's season? The answer is a total of 69.2 inches. Even though we had a good finish, or a heavy snowfall finish to the season, we still came up shy of our average for Utica, which is 95 inches. The winter outlook is done very differently than what we do on an everyday basis in terms of predicting the weather. We're looking at different factors, and one of the big ones is the ocean temperature. The ocean temperature has a large influence on atmospheric conditions throughout the course of the season. And this winter, for the third winter in a row, we have a pattern called La Nina in the Pacific. Why are we looking at the Pacific? It's the largest ocean on the planet, and it has the largest influence on the weather patterns across the planet, especially in North America. La Nina is when ocean temperatures are colder in the east. What is typical wind conditions along the Pacific, they're called trade winds, where the winds move from east to west. With La Nina, the winds are even stronger than what is typical, and that brings colder ocean currents in the eastern half of the Pacific, and that will drive what happens to the jet stream across North America. In a La Nina, this is what is typical of the jet stream. The jet stream, by the way, is a fast-moving river of air higher in the atmosphere, and the jet stream drives storm systems. So if you can figure out whereabouts the jet stream will be favored throughout the season, it gives you a good idea of how the storms will be playing out throughout the season. And this is what we're expecting for our winter 2022-2023. Jet stream generally driving south, more south than average across the middle part of the country. This would favor some cold outbreaks across the Midwest. The jet stream in the east will tend to be more to the north, and what that does is it favors very mild weather in the southeast. We tend to be in this battle zone, and it makes the weather a lot more active. So when we're looking at the jet stream, a lot of the storms this year we think are going to end up being western runners, or at least we have a better chance of getting more western runners compared to normal. What does that mean? These storms tend to be more of the mixed type. Not just snow producers, but the ones that bring snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain. When storms go far to the west, a lot of times they'll bring thaws, even in the middle of the winter time. We saw this a lot last year. I think we're going to see this again this year. And that could overall have an impact on how much snow we get throughout the entire season. There's another wild card that we're adding to the mix here. What's different this year compared to last year is the way that November's played out. It's been so incredibly warm over the past couple of weeks up until the recent cold spell. We were in the 70s and we were setting records in the beginning of November. That's been keeping Lake Ontario from cooling off. And so what that does is it gives us a better chance of seeing heavier lake effect snow events. And then as Hannah mentioned, you need to have that big change in temperature between the lakes and the air to produce that heavy lake effect snow. And we have a better shot of getting more lake effect snow because of the way Lake Ontario has been playing out. Like mentioned, more frequent thaws with western runners. You tend to get more swings in the temperature. But again, it also looks very active too. Let's take a look at similar winters in the past. So we were looking at the La Nina we're expecting this winter. There are similar winters, and we don't even have to go that far back to pick out a few of them. In fact, the last 2 winters in a row were very similar. This is what temperatures have been looking like with these La Nina winters. You can see that 4 of the 5 were above average. 1 of them was below average, 2017, 2018. Here's how they played out with snowfall. Again, you can kind of see a pattern here. Most of these winters were close to 70 inches. We had a high amount in 2017, 2018, and then we have a very low amount in 2011 and 2012. So there's some variability to how these winters play out. With that being said, this is our official forecast. We're calling for 65 to 85 inches of snow for the city of Utica, which is very similar to what we saw last year. Of course, it's going to happen at different times. There will be times where we get some very heavy snowfall. There will be periods where we're in the deep freeze. And there will also be times where I think we're going to have some thaws. And there may be times, especially early and late in the season, where it may be hard to keep that snowpack around. We're calling for slightly above average temperatures here, an average high of 27 degrees. So what that means is we're going to be in the middle of winter, but it may be just slightly less than what we would be considered average. So that's the outlook, and if you want to continue to follow us throughout the winter season, we encourage you to follow us on social media. There's a team, myself, Hannah Evans, Eric Gage. You can follow us on Facebook by looking for WKTV Weather. We're also on Twitter, and you can also email us if you have any questions throughout the winter weather season by our email, weather@wktv.com. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you're ready for the winter season, and we'll be tracking this together with you throughout. Have a good night.
This has been a News Channel 2 special presentation. Severe Weather Show, brought to you by Mountain Ice Pain Gel.